Hello, everybody. We welcome you to this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin, and delighted for this opportunity to be with you once again. We are on the countdown for the last two shows for News You Can Use at LaSalle TV. And before I go a step further, I have to say thank you to Tanya Ellis, Professor Tanya Ellis, for affording me the opportunity for the last 7.5 years to be here to bring community information and all kinds of wonderful guests to you. Today on the program, I am so proud for the opportunity to dedicate the whole show to Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a sorority of which I'm a part of, our nation's first African-American women's sorority, and we're very, very proud of our history, founded in 1908. And we're going to shine the spotlight on a very special chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha. In just a moment, we'll be back. Stay with us. Hello once again, everybody. Now, if you just turned your television set on, I have to tell you, this is a special edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin, and we are celebrating today the history, the legacy of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. I'm a proud member of that organization, and we're going to talk about the history of the founding of Alpha Kappa Alpha, but then we're going to zero in on the history of Phi Beta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha. They've got a special event coming up in June, and let us get started. I am welcoming my soror, Nia Campbell.
Hello.
And she is the basilisk, that's the president, folks, of Alpha Kappa Alpha Phi Beta Omega chapter. And I have with me the founding president of Phi Beta Omega chapter. I'm talking about Soror Betty Robinson, and you are currently one of the quad chairs for the chapter as well.
Good afternoon. Yes, I am.
Wonderful. And I also got to add that Nia Campbell is also the president of the Rose Foundation. You're wearing a lot of hats today, sorors. Both of you. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having us.
And happy to be here.
Yes, I want to start with you because I want you to talk about the rich history, 1908, and those strong visionary women that said we must have our own sorority at Howard University.
Well, you're absolutely correct that Ethel Hedgeman Lyle was an undergraduate at Howard University, and she decided that the women at Howard University needed to have some type of organization where they could come together, bond, they could share some of the struggles that were going on at that time. If you remember, not very many African American women were college students.
Right.
And so it was important for her to have an opportunity to bring these women together and start an organization, and Alpha Kappa Alpha is the offshoot of that. She began with 9 women undergrads that she talked with, and she went to the administration of Howard University, and she convinced them that this was a great idea. Mm-hmm. And they allowed her to have meetings and to work with the women. I must say to you, I have always been in awe of the women who started this organization, because I think back to what I was like when I was 18, 19 years old, and I'm not sure that I would have had the wherewithal to do what they did. Not only did they come together, but they created a motto. They created a coat of arms. They understood Greek culture and Greek history, and they were able to put all of this together, choosing colors that have a symbolic meaning to those members of the organization. And not only did they do that, but then they knew how to perpetuate the organization by bringing in undergraduates the following year. So as I say, I sit back and I just think to myself, wow, she must have been a really intelligent woman, as all of them were, as we know, because one of the things that Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated stands for is academic excellence. And so we do work to always make sure that we strive for academic excellence. But beyond that, she saw a need to make the theme of the organization supreme service to all mankind. And I think that's what makes us really unique, that our efforts are really for the communities in which we live, that we serve the people who are in need. She recognized that people who had the opportunity to go to college were afforded something special.
Right.
But not everybody in the African American or Black community could go to college. So she wanted to be sure that the work that we did benefited those people around whom we lived.
When I think about my history with Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, I cannot think further than first, my first cousin, Rita Butler Holliday, who now lives in New Jersey, but who grew up in Philadelphia, went to Penn State University, graduated from Penn State, and was made there at Penn State University as an AKA member. And everything that she did, I wanted to do. My sister wanted to do. She was about 5 years older than us, and we looked up to her. And I thank God for her being in my life, because while my parents were strong on education and wanted their girls to go to college and all of that, they didn't put me in that setting. It was me following after my cousin Rita up to Penn State one weekend, that was it, the college bug. And I had to go to college. I wanted to go to college. And then on top of that, I wanted to be an AKA. At any cost, I said, I'm going to be an AKA. And when I got to Marquette University, which is where I went to school in Wisconsin, got on campus, and lo and behold, there were no AKAs. I'm like, what? Well, eventually I discovered one. She was in graduate school, very mature, very serious, and she did not have time for us. But I reached back to my cousin. At that time, she was already living in New Jersey, and she gave me the beginning instructions of what we needed to do to found a chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha at Marquette University. Long story short, the Honorable C. Dolores Tucker, the late C. Dolores Tucker, she eventually was a guest speaker for us. We were Tiakas, and she came out to be our speaker, and she became a part of my life from that day forward until she passed away. I never knew how important that relationship would become. But she told me when she first met me, and I was not a chapter executive board member or anything like that. I was just a member, one of the founding members. It was 12 of us, midnight specials. But she always told me, when you come back home after you graduate, if you need help with anything, you give me a call. And she was there for me and lifted me up when I came back to Philadelphia after completing my studies and graduating from Marquette, trying to get my footing in broadcast communications, of which she was not in broadcast communications, but C. Dolores Tucker knew everybody. And so she helped me to get into the right doors and to have doors open for me. So I'll never forget her for that. But Rita Butler Holliday, she's the one that gave me the college bug and the desire to go to college. She also gave me that AKA bug, which I have never put down. And so I'm proud to sit with my sorors today and to share the history so that people will know about this great sorority, the first African American women's sorority in the United States, and the many successes, the legacy, the work that has been done over the years. And 3 cheers for our 9 strong, visionary founders. You said that when you were 18, you're not sure if you would have been able to, or would have had the energy or whatever to start something as great as an Alpha Kappa Alpha chapter. I know I wasn't ready. I was 18. I was, searching around, but God is good, and we're glad to be here today. Yes.
And I should say that we ended up with 20 founders because as they brought more women in, they became incorporated, and we consider that there are 20 women who started this organization. But I also want to piggyback on something you said. One of the things that I have always found with Alpha Kappa Alpha women is they serve as role models, and they are strong role models, like your cousin did for you. I went to Cheney University, it was Cheney State College at the time, and but I can remember the AKs on campus always winning the academic awards. Back then, they used to award the sorority and the fraternity that had the highest grade point average. And then they took the Greek, who had the highest. It was always an AKA.
Beautiful.
And for me, it was just, I want to be just like that. So they really did inspire you to, you know, as I said, for the academic excellence and the leadership on the campus.
I love it.
And I'm sure, Nia, you had similar experiences.
Fast forward to right now, you're the president, the basilisk of the chapter. And how did you elevate through the leadership?
I think it's about your investment in time. It's one of those opportunities where, just like you said, you have a love for the sorority. So the one thing that we focus on is being of service to all mankind, giving back. That's essential for our organization. And so as you get involved in the sorority, and especially in the chapter, you kind of desire to learn a little more and a little more and a little more. And it helps you grow throughout the ranks. And just like Dr. Robinson mentioned before, it's about paying it forward, but you also have mentors and people that you look up to. My mother also happens to be a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So I obviously, love and revere her. But when I saw the chapter that she was in and the work that they've done, I began to respect that work that they went through. And even Dr. Robinson, she is our chartering president of Phi Beta Omega chapter. And as a young, non-member at the time, there were times when she reached out to me and just, wanted to plant that seed that my mother had already instilled from a child. But you now have a network of women who become invested in your development educationally, your upbringing, your where do you stand in the world, how do you move through the world, your jobs professionally. They become invested in you, and because of that investment, then you desire to invest more. And I think that's where I desired to learn more about my organization, but then from there be able to grow throughout the ranks.
Well, we have a whole nother segment. We're going to come back. Like I said, we're dedicating the whole show to Alpha Kappa Alpha today. But I'm real interested in sharing with our viewing audience just a little bit about some of the public service kinds of projects that your chapter has done in the past, and then we'll get to the present in the next segment.
Okay.
So the kind of projects that you get your hands in.
So the way our sorority is structured, we have an international president who gives out a platform of programs. Every 4 years, you get a new international president. Under this current administration, some of the areas that we focus on, 1 million backpacks. So our chapter alone has adopted schools where we've given out backpacks to an entire elementary school, Willow Hill Elementary School. We've done that. We did an elementary school in Norristown where there were 400 to 500 students at the school that we were able to give them backpacks and school supplies to help them start their school year. We've also done another initiative which we call Pink Goes Red. It's for Heart Health Month. Go Red for a Day, National Awareness Day.
I like that.
So the initiative that Phi Beta Omega has taken is to go to Plymouth Meeting Mall. We've done walks around the mall to encourage heart health awareness. We've given out snacks, healthy snacks. We had a Zumbathon right there in the middle of the mall. We invited everyone to come and join us. But it also gave us a chance to bring awareness of the importance of heart disease, which is the #1 killer of women. And we wanted to make sure that we did that. We've done a shredding day, which also encourages environmental ownership. That's another program that we have. So we had a National Shredding Day. The hardest thing ever is to sometimes go green, and we're trying to think about how do you encourage that to keep our environment healthy. That's how we were able to do that for a National Shredding Day. We also do 1908 playgrounds. So it's an opportunity where we restore playgrounds of service. We did Linwood Gardens in Cheltenham. We also did an elementary school in Pottstown. So we've gone back to different schools, repainted, refurbished, planted plants there, and in an effort to show the community that, this is our service to you. And I think that's really important that we remind ourselves, but to honor that, because that's what we were founded for, was service to all mankind. And that is exactly what the chapter of Phi Beta Omega does for Montgomery and Bucks County.
It sounds like Phi Beta Omega is statewide. You're rattling off. This is no small feat to pop around to different cities.
I just want to add too, though, despite, in addition to, I should say, some of the international programs, we try to localize some of the service that we provide. And one of the programs we've done for 20 years, and it's one of, I think, our favorites, is Acts of Love, which we contact a church or a senior citizen home, and we go into a senior citizen facility. And our Acts of Love is to actually communicate with them. Maybe we play games, maybe we might do Jeopardy. We give them toiletries, we get up and dance with them so that we don't want to forget our senior citizens.
That sounds like so much fun. We're going to keep chatting in just a moment. We want our viewing audience to stay with us. We've got a couple of important messages to share, and we will continue with this special edition of News You Can Use right after this. Stay with us.
It's learning how to code or make video games and websites.
Not only can you post videos online, you can make your own.
It's learning about leadership.
Together we are Tech Girls.
Hello, everybody. We are back as we continue with this very special edition of News You Can Use. I'm the host, Thera Martin, and we're talking about the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, the history of the founding chapter out of Howard University. But then we're talking about a chapter that's right here in the Delaware Valley, and they got it going on. I have our current basilisks and the founding basilisks for Phi Beta Omega chapter, and I'm thrilled to have you both with us today to help me paint a picture right here on cable television at LaSalle TV about this historic organization and just how proud we are of it. I did say I wanted to fast forward to 2018 and what's cooking right now or what's coming up for the month of June. So there's this an organization inside of your organization, the Rose Foundation.
Yes.
Which one of you all want to tell about that?
Do you want to start?
Well, let me.
She'll start. You'll pick it up. Okay.
As a chartering basilisk of the Phi Beta Omega chapter, I think I realized early on that a foundation is always something that would be beneficial to the chapter. And so I asked two people in the chapter, one was an attorney, if they would pursue looking into or explore the idea of organizing a foundation. And we were very fortunate that, because they're very capable women, we were able to receive our approval for a foundation in 2002. The foundation became operational in 2003. So the Rose Foundation, which is recognizing opportunities for education, for service and education, has been in existence for the past 15 years. And we've grown. We've done a lot of things in those years. Primarily, we wanted to be able to empower women because we feel that's just so important. We know that women many times, because as your cousin did, she inspired you. Regardless of the role a woman plays in a family, she's always inspiring and encouraging, nurturing, mentoring. So we wanted to empower women to do those things. So we've done a number of things in the Rose Foundation. One primarily was scholarships. We feel it's important to if education is important to us, then we feel it's important to support that financially. Again, I want to show where we're different, because many people, many organizations have scholarships that they give to graduating seniors. We have a scholarship that is called the Second Chance Scholarship. And it is primarily for those who did not have the opportunity to go to college right out of high school. So those non-traditional students, which we're getting a lot more of, we wanted to be able to say, you know what, here's a scholarship to help you along your path. And that's one of the scholarships that's really meaningful to me. I happen to come from a family, just like yours, education was important. And I'll quickly share the story. My mother was from the South. And as you know, the opportunities were not the same in the South back in her day as they are now. So she was not able to go to finish high school the traditional way, because you had to pay to go to high school in the South. She was from Georgia. Her family, there were 5, so she was not able to do that. She came to Philadelphia. She established a career for herself. But education was so important that she went to Standard Evening High School. Off and on, she raised her family, but off and on for 17 years. To attain that,
commitment.
to attain that high school diploma. She could have taken the GED exam. She didn't want to do that. She wanted to wear that cap and gown. And it was such a proud moment when my mom had the opportunity to walk across the stage and receive that diploma. So for us, education was really important. She's that non-traditional student we're talking about when we say a second chance scholarship.
Oh, that's wonderful that you all would develop that kind of a scholarship to open up the door for some women, or is it women or men?
It's male or female.
Excellent.
We don't discriminate with that.
Yes.
Because everybody needs a second chance.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. That is special indeed. And what else would you want to add about the Rose Foundation? Because you're the president of that entity now, as well as being the Basilisk president. For those of you who are not in the sorority world, and well, what's Basilisk? President, top layer leadership.
With the Rose Foundation, it is the charitable arm for Phi Beta Omega chapter. So all of the members of that foundation, all of the members of the chapter are members of the foundation.
Yes.
We do have a structured board, and we're a 501c3 status foundation where we do give back all the money that we raise in the community. We turn around and give that money right back to the community. So we've given over $125,000 in the 15 years that we've been established in the community. We've given back grants. There was a time when we focused on women veterans. So we had the opportunity
One of my
to,
passions.
yes, and it's still supporting women. But it's an untapped area because a lot of times with female vets, after they come back from serving, they come back home and they have a real life and children that they now have to go back and take care of. And sometimes they don't always have the resources available. The Rose Foundation has been very instrumental in identifying those women, giving financially back to them, as well as to their families. A few years ago, we honored a female vet who was a book writer, and we had an opportunity to give her money to go back to school on a second chance, just like Dr. Robinson mentioned, and have her daughter, who was in elementary school, had that opportunity to be proud of her mother. The Rose Foundation also takes an opportunity to give back to the community through service. It works a lot with our community partners, organizations like Target and ShopRite and Home Depot. We've been able to get in-kind donations from to do a lot of our service projects. Even partnering with like churches, we do a seasonal wraps. Every November we have a huge program called November to Remember. The Rose Foundation has been very instrumental where we've given back $2,000 to the community where they can go to ShopRite themselves, buy their own groceries, but we've had an opportunity to sit down and feed over 150 families a hot meal and give their children blankets and gloves and coats and things like that in the cold months of November. So the Rose Foundation does a lot, and it aligns its support with our chapter Phi Beta Omega. So we're very, very happy to have that entity.
And I just want to quickly add, we also look for other areas of need. For example, economic empowerment. We've done workshops for women to help them understand how do you get a mortgage. For example, how do you restore your credit? What do you do to help you save? We've done things with domestic violence, women in domestic violence shelters, because these are all things that impact the families of the women who that we're trying to help.
Well, I know that all smart organizations, and of course AKAs are extremely smart, would have a signature event that you do every year to sort of help fund some of these other great projects that you do. It costs to be the boss, folks, and they're bosses. They're bosses. So to get there, you raise money during something special, and so you're going to be presenting, the Rose Foundation is going to be presenting the main event, an evening of celebration coming up on June the 2nd?
Yes.
Tell us about it. Give us a number. How can people get tickets and support this worthy cause, because you put your money back into the community?
Well, the Rose Foundation is having an event called the Main Event. It is a signature celebration. Dr. Robinson, as well as the former presidents in the chapter, represent the quad chairman that you mentioned earlier. They are hosting this event in partnership with the Rose Foundation, and we're super excited. It's an opportunity to honor visionary leaders in the community, as well as raise money and funds for the scholarship recipients. And I'll turn it over to you to allow Dr. Robinson to give more details, because she's the head of all of that.
Well, we are excited about this upcoming event, and our theme is an evening of celebration, preserving our legacy, building tomorrow's leaders. Because we're big on mentoring, as I said before, and we know that we have a lot of young people out there. You mentioned earlier about how Nia became the president. That's because we saw in her too that she had leadership capabilities, and so we helped nurture her along the way. It's that Ivy Vine they talk about. We nurtured that Ivy Vine.
Awesome.
But this event is really special. We need people to come out and support it. The tickets are $125. Because
Formal
we are
attire.
raising, it's formal attire. We are honoring 4 visionaries. Bob Bogle, who is a Tribune, who is the president and CEO of the
Philadelphia
Tribune.
Tribune.
We are honoring Tanya Hill, who is a Holiday, who is the owner of several McDonald's around the area. Dr. Janet C. Samuels, who is a superintendent of the Norristown Area School District, and any of you in education know it is hard to be a superintendent in today's world. And our very own Thera Martin, we are honoring because of all the work that you have done in the radio and cable TV industry. So we're thrilled to have all of you stand and walk that pink carpet, stroll that pink carpet.
Look forward to it.
And it will be an evening, as I said, it will be a formal with the DJ and a band, and we're going to have a dinner, a sit-down dinner, and a lot of exciting things.
And if people want to come, they need to log on the rosefdn.org to get your tickets. Get your tickets now because the event is Saturday, June the 2nd. That's the rosefdn.org. I want to thank you, ladies, for coming. We're out of time. But AKA all the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. God bless you. All righty, that's it for me. We are out of time, everybody. And all I can say to you as we close is remember that life is so fragile. Handle it with prayer. And have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
I know, it does go fast.
Don't move yet.